I got a question for you to think about. Why are family courts so difficult? Why are they so difficult to change? Why is everything shrouded in secrecy? A judge can do anything he wants and not have any consequences. The guardian ad litems have no training. The judges have no training. They are operating in a complete fictitious world by giving females custody 82.5% of the time, giving, and then in Virginia it's 90% of the time. Yet the government, their own statistics tell us that child abuse is more prevalent in women, and not because they have custody more often. It's just the percentages, the ratio is more prevalent with women. And I didn't make that up. I was actually surprised when I learned that last night. I finally did all the math, put it all together. Why are the judges given this kind of immunity? Why are our families put into a court system? Why did they decide to put it into a court system when deciding custody? Do you ever ask yourself these questions? Or you just go right to the family courts and say, hey, look, I need to decide custody? I would strongly advise anybody not to ever use the family courts, because the whole name family court is it's a disgrace to what families are. You don't mix law with something sacred like families. Maybe in terms of adoption, okay, you could argue that, and even there, I don't believe in it really. But legally speaking, there are certain things. So okay, adoption is of the heart. Being a parent is of the heart. It's not biology and it's not paper. Biology is the default, and that should be given default status, as should fathers and mothers both be given default status as good parents. When that fails, then we should go to the next step, and that should be extended family when possible. And if not, then it would go to a loving foster home or stepfather or mother, whatever the case might be. But there should be checks and balances to protect the children. The government is not supposed to be an overbearing force that's over us, that is our mommy and daddy. They are composed of us. The government is us. That's who it's supposed to be. That's how God blessed this nation, because we didn't appoint kings. If you look at the Bible, that's what got the people in trouble. That's what got the Jews in trouble. They wanted a judge, they wanted a king over their people. And when they started wanting that, that's when they started getting into trouble. So our country is blessed, and it was made under God. That's the way it was created. And yet now we think that we are above God and we don't need God anymore. The family is a perfect example of the divinity, the sacredness that God has given to us from the very beginning. And yet we treat the family, when given the opportunity in our courts, which is the representative of the people, to decide matters, whether it be criminal, civil, whatever. When given that opportunity, the government, we the people, we have chosen, and I say we very loosely, we have chosen to disregard the family, a sacred gift, and treat it like less than dirt, by allowing people that are trained in law, that are not even well trained in law. They're trained in attorneying. They're trained in twisting the law. They're not trained in law per se, as in God's common good law for man that's known to all, but they're trained in how to twist the law. That's where the word attorn comes from. So why are we allowing attorneys governed by this club called the bar to do everything regarding our families? Or possibly you think that you're slightly better than other people in the sense that your family's never going to come in contact with the family courts, and therefore it's not your problem. Maybe that's what you think. Well, I can tell you, in my situation, I was middle class, maybe lower middle class, whatever, working class, had a good job, but that's not the definition of middle class or working class, in my opinion. It's somebody who's striving in the middle class and puts work and production before their own selfishness, like drugs or selfish endeavors. So we are a productive member of group, family and society. Our children were blessed and things were good until selfishness and evil did slip its way in, and it will slip its way in every possible chance that it gets. And we found ourselves in family court 3 times. And I guarantee it happens to the best of them. If it doesn't happen directly to your family, then those children that are getting torn up, further torn up by the families that were broken up, now they're getting further torn up by the family courts. Those children will be interacting with your children. And they'll be interacting with you. You might find them at the end of the front end of a gun holding you up one day. You might find out that they're the ones selling the drugs to your children. They might be the one that shoot up your school or shoot somebody in the neighborhood. They might be the one that impregnate your daughter. So you think you're immune, you're not. I'm not saying all kids that come from broken families are bad, but the propensity, the chance is great. I come from a very broken family, and I made the best of it. And many people do, and that's awesome. But unfortunately, the fact is that many don't. So if you think family courts are not your problem, you might want to look around. You might want to look around at all the destruction that broken families are causing. And you might say, well, that's just because of the parents. It's because of people. Well, guess what? That's true, but the courts are composed of people. So, yes, it's the people. And we can change our hearts and we can say that that's enough. But guess what? The courts is something that we can change without having to say, well, we should all just change our hearts and change our morality. That's something that's obscure, that's hard to do. But courts are something, our government, those are things that can be changed, and they're designed to be changed. So yes, the hearts of people are lost, and they need God, and that's absolute, and that's for sure, and that's the saving grace that will save us. But does that not mean that you don't give a man, a child in this case, a drink of water as you pass them? Or do you just tell them to, as they die of thirst, you tell them to pray? Maybe give them a scripture. No, in the meantime, we have to lift them up. We have to fight for those in need. The poor, the oppressed, the fatherless. Carry the burdens of our friends and our brothers. Love our enemies. True religion, to look after the fatherless and the widows. Are we doing that? Are we serving God? Are we obeying our almighty creator? Are we thankful in our moves and our actions every day by just being appreciative and by treating his creation with dignity? And that includes children. More than anything, children. Watch every step that you take. Do not let one step go wasted. God bless.